shots ring from the woods. Life is good. Shoot for ammo, any problem. Comments here in Nashville. Either way, I got a feeling. Life is good. He's always shooting down in the woods. He wouldn't do it if he could. Life is good. He wouldn't do it if he could. Life is good.
Yes, Hickok 45, your internet shooting companion, coming to you from the beautiful hills of Tennessee, the home of Davy Crockett, Jeff Quinn, James Yeager, right, all sorts of interesting people that are no longer with us. And we miss them. Yeah, we miss all those people and a lot more. We miss a lot of people. I'm glad you're here though, and I'm glad I'm here and, able to sling some lead and copper and, enjoy the day. It's a pretty nice one. It really is. It's a rare, well, the snow melted. You saw the snow this week from the video posted. We had that blizzard, earlier in the week, and it's all dried up. It got warm again. It turned back to the 90-degree temperature and melted all that. And now we've had another cool spell where it's like in the 70s today. You believe that? Not very humid. Another rare day, probably better than the snowy day we had earlier in the week. This is ideal. It's like Southern California, right? Without the oppression, without the totalitarianism. Yeah, this is pretty nice, I have to say. When the humid gets way down, wow, and the temperatures aren't bad, that's hard to beat. Sure is. So you see I'm shooting the old M&P folding pistol carbine, right? Is that what the FPC stands for? Because it's a folder and it's empty, as you saw. And all you do is push the lever and fold it right up. There it is. There's the chamber. So it's kind of weird, a rifle pointing at you when you fold it, but not going to fire, is it? Even if there's a round in the chamber. So pretty cool. Any more than those bullets lying right there. So yeah, this is pretty interesting. I like it better than I thought I would. Yeah, it's a pretty interesting firearm. A friend of mine bought one, well, on the trip down to Alabama, where we met Amber. I bought the bolt action Ruger 300 Blackout, you've seen, and he bought one of these. He'd been looking for it and they were hard to find. I think he couldn't find one anywhere at the time, and or that for the price he wanted, I think they were hard to find, and maybe still are. But he bought that and really liked it. And I got up a couple weeks later to his place and we did some shooting, and I fired it. I fired it quite a bit at his place, and I was impressed with it. And y'all have been requesting it, so I got Buds to send one. As soon as you get one available or whatever, I'd like to have it, try it. So anyway, that's what that is. And yep, the folding pistol carbine. It's I really I think seeing it maybe at the NRA meeting, wherever it was, SHOT Show and everything, I wasn't so sure about it. I thought, well, I don't know, looks interesting. There's a lot of gimmicks that come out. Everybody's trying to sell a gun and do something different and all that, and I don't know, I just didn't really look at it too closely. But I have to say, it feels like quality, and it shoots well. And whether or not you're desperate for a firearm like this that folds, whether that's important to you or not, could be a little bit irrelevant. It seems like a pretty nice carbine. It shoots well, and it's basically an M&P carbine, recognized pistol grip, and uses the M&P magazines. So, pretty convenient. Threaded barrel, all that. We'll do a video on it. Has a magazine, a little holder for the extra mags in the back here, which is a little bit awkward to use. But I don't know, I haven't found many negatives other than the slide releases are very, very weird. Fortunately, I don't really have to use it much. But anyway, that might be something you want to look at if you get a chance to look at it. I don't know how important the fact that it will fold is. It always doesn't hurt as long as it doesn't get in the way, right? Let me shoot some more, can I? Let me put another mag in here. Oh, by the way, before we get too far and some of you bail out because you're getting bored, don't forget the next two meet and greets, September the 2nd in Sevierville, Tennessee at 11 o'clock, and then at Uncle Lee's in Greenville, Kentucky on September 23rd at 11 o'clock, 11 to 12. So, get those out there before I forget. Okay, let me finish this mag. A couple of rounds left in it. All right. So, you see with the magazine in it, there's nothing in the chamber. You can open it. Well, you could do it with the round in the chamber, right? Yeah, you could. You could open it up, which might sound or look dangerous to you. I guess it's not. I mean, it shouldn't be. Let me put it around in the chamber. Let's see how dangerous it is. This is probably not advisable. I've around the chamber, the safety is on, and I'm gonna hit the lever. Oh, you know what? It's not the safety. Okay. Okay, that answers that question. I was going to think, well, it'd be kind of weird to open it with a round in the chamber, but it opens away from the firing pin, the bolt, so it's not going to fire. But it doesn't open, I guess, when it's, I don't know, cocked or what. It knows there's a round in the chamber and it won't open. All right, so let's go ahead and shoot it. I just learned something I didn't know. For me, that happens almost every second of the day. I learned something I didn't know. Or I learned something I knew and forgot. How's that? Feels empty. Yeah. Yeah, when you're so forgetful and crazy as I am, you forget everything. Every day's a new day. Everything is new. I've said before, you get to reread all your favorite books, bolts back, see all your movies again. They're all new to you, all right? So, okay. So I guess it just won't open with a round in the chamber, and that's a good thing, by and large. Again, you're opening away. You're moving the head of that bullet away from but you know what? Don't think of it. It's going to be captured, I guess, by the extractor, right? Dummy me, yeah. So the bolt is going to have a hold of it, and so it wouldn't be good. You're ripping it out from the claw of the extractor. Yeah, if it would open, so it's set so that won't happen. That makes sense. Which could end up being dangerous. Maybe something weird happen. You get a fire it. You're just not going to be firing it around the corner. You're not going. You wouldn't be opening up and it went off. I'm sorry, I shot that guy over there in the next county because I was shooting around corners. That wouldn't be the case, but still not good. All right, so there we go. And before we get too far, I want to thank Alabama Holster as well. I got one in my pocket. And I've been using their belt holster a fair amount lately. The flapjack, I like that too. But great little concealment holsters. Kydex, really appreciate Alabama Holster support. It's Alabama Holster singular. Yeah, I think plural gets you to the side as well. But yeah, Alabama Holster. Great outfit. Glad to have their support on the channel since I've been using them for so many years and really have liked them for so many years. So yeah, don't forget the meet and greets. Had a great one up in Lexington on Saturday. Met a lot of you there, a lot of you, and got to chat briefly with all of you. And y'all had some ugly pictures you took of, well, because I was in the pictures, right? And I signed a lot of things that I still feel guilty about. As I've said before, whenever I'm signing with a marker. Oh man, I feel like a graffiti artist. Like a graffiti artist ought to feel like they're damaging things when they paint signs or whatever they do. But when I'm signing like the slide of a Glock, which I did, when I looked like a brand new Glock 22, and nice gun cases and all that kind of thing. Yeah, but anyway, whatever you want. I'm happy to do it. Yeah, it was great seeing so many of you there, and appreciate it. Appreciate Bud's helping out. They went well. Gave away a lot of pots. Yeah, a lot of pots for y'all to smoke. Hopefully the ATF or the local law enforcement didn't know we were giving away pot at that thing. But clay pots, okay. And what else? Yeah, it was great. Met some of you for the second or third time. Were there. I'd met before at a meet and greet or a NRA meeting or somewhere in a restaurant or a gas station, and so yeah, that was good. Anything else about that? I don't know. Just met a bunch of you. And it doesn't matter how many times we announce these sorts of things. It's funny. It always happens that after it was over or the line was down, I was there a couple hours, meeting, greeting people, and then I was ready to drive back to Nashville, around 2 or after 2 o'clock or whatever. I come down into the gun shop, and I talked with some folks. A fellow couldn't get up the stairs, and then I met so many people in the gun shop before I got out of it. They didn't know there was a meet and greet going on. They recognized me or whatever. It just doesn't matter. People are always surprised, and I'm sure I'll get messages this week about, wow, I wish I'd known you were going to be in Lexington. Just like when I go to Sevierville, I wish I'd known you were going to be here. Watch the videos and you would know. Even did a short video about it, but most of you have seen that probably. So I'll see hopefully a bunch of you in Sevierville, Tennessee, and Greenville, Kentucky. And what else? Yeah, we also appreciate Talon Grips. Check them out, of course. I've been using them forever, and Ballistol forever. As I was telling somebody online, it's really nice to have companies, Talon Grips and Ballistol and Alabama Holster and others that you've been using or supporting or you've liked for a long time. It's really nice. So I got a couple of guns out here. This is not one of those weeks where I'm in the mood to shoot a different Colt single action or a good old revolver or a lever gun or something. That happens a lot, doesn't it? One of my favorite bolt guns or whatever. I'm always in the mood to shoot those. But I wanted to shoot this some more because I haven't shot it enough yet. We're going to do video coming up really soon. So I wanted to shoot it some more. I like it and I enjoy shooting it. That might be enough reason to bring a firearm out to shoot. You like it and you enjoy shooting it, right? Whether it's a new gun, whether it's my gun, whether it's a gun I've had for 40 years or whatever, like last week. But I have another one too, and we're going to do video with it. I'm shooting it, been shooting it, and so I just brought them both out. You haven't seen it either, not in my hand. This one, the Springfield Armory Echelon. Okay, the Echelon. I got both of these. Well, before I went up to Kentucky, actually, but I haven't had a chance to shoot them a whole lot. Just shot them some, and I kind of like both of them. I have to say, the Echelon. I tell you, this Echelon, I would love it's got a fine, trigger's fine. It breaks a little further rearward than would be ideal for me, but it's not horrible. There are some firearms. What were some of those? Was it Taurus GX4 or some of those guns that we've done some over the years that, oh man, there's just not much negative period about them other than with my long hands, my long fingers and everything. It breaks. You've heard me complain about that for years. Of course, it's not really too legitimate a complaint. The problem is generally not the gun, it's my body, right? Although most guns, it's not a problem, but with some, it's just more. When a gun, the distance here between the palm and the finger and all that, with most firearms, it's okay. I've adapted, I guess, over the years. But when one is a little shorter, when the distance is a little shorter, My threshold of tolerance is a lot less than probably yours, unless you're 6'8". And I met a couple of guys my size, at the meet and greet. But so for you, it would not be a problem, probably. Yeah, and it's not a problem. It's just, man, it would be really nice if it had a trigger. It's got a decent trigger, nothing that bad about it. But boy, if it had an ideal trigger, like, I don't know, PPQ, name some of them that have incredible triggers that broke right where they feel good to me. I'll tell you what, this would be a very desirable gun because I like basically everything else about it. I think, I don't know. So I'll shoot that some. I've shot it some. Well, here's a magazine with bullets in it. Let's shoot it right now. You want to? Springfield Echelon. Let's shoot that target. How about this? My ears in tight. Oh yeah, look at that. Wow, I don't know if you can tell that. Those are all in the bullseye, and that's got to be 50 yards away, right? Oh, well, no, maybe more like 3 or 4 yards away. I misjudged the distance. I need a rangefinder. Funny, huh? Pow. Let's go out to the gong, see where it hits. Okay, I'm not sure. I don't think it's used excessively low or high. I'm just not holding well there. I'm going to mix up the magazines here for these two firearms. That is the M&P, yeah, okay. And that's the other mag for the Echelon. Okay, it comes with like a 17 rounder and a 21 rounder or something. Or something. I'm not that dumb. I can read numbers, but it doesn't have it's got an extension. So it's the same mag. It says 17 rounds, but it's got an extension. So it holds 20 or something, I think. Yeah, I'll see if I can zero in the gong where to hit. That's a pretty nice gun. Great serrations. Great serrations. And then of course a little hump on the rear. And that's actually the shape of the slide. What is it? The EZ guns, some of those, forgetting some of they have little inserts on the back to help you pull a slide, get a hold of that. And this one is actually the shape of the slide is contoured, if you can see that at the rear of it. It's kind of nice. It's actually in the metal. And it's got a little, they call it a trench up here, so you can get your thumb in there the same way and pull back, That's nice. 'Cause, I'm one who might press check myself, especially on a model 1911. But I still don't like getting my hands up here too close to the muzzle. Obviously you can keep your fingers out from the front of it, but still, why get them up there when you don't really have to? So that kind of helps obviate the need to do that if you like to reach up there. Or if you got a optic, yeah, I didn't think of that because I don't use optics, but if you had an optic back here, that might make that even more valuable, having that little shelf or trench or whatever they call it right there. So anyway, I'm just kind of sizing them up. No malfunctions with either one yet. Okay. Only malfunctions around here with my brain. I want to also thank, I've got some different kinds of ammo. Wideners.com. Check them out in the description. Use the coupon code Hickok45 there and get a discount. Save $15, not percent, $15 on a couple $100 order. And so we got some, let's try some hollow points. I don't think I've shot any hollow points in this pistol yet. Get the right magazine, yeah. And try some Underwood hollow points here. So what else do you want to know about? Anything I'm forgetting? Well, I went to the CLA, the Contemporary Long Rifle Association meeting in Lexington while I was up there. So that was kind of nice. See all the old stuff and new stuff. It's made like the old stuff. Again, it's a Contemporary Long Rifle Association, the meeting. You may not be aware there are a lot of people who hand make like flintlock rifles, in the American long rifle tradition, the Kentucky rifle, the Jaeger, whatever, Hawken, that currently right now are working on them, building them the way the fellas did back in the old days. So it's a little different than a lot of things. It's not like, you got, what would be an example? You got, anything manufactured in the old way is interesting, right? On a anvil, with a hammer, that kind of thing, versus being just mass produced, with modern techniques today. It's just like night and day, right? Well, and you got people making knives like that too, just like they did back then. But these rifles are made essentially the same way, other than maybe the rifling in the barrel. Not many people are rifling their own barrels, I guess, these days. Some are, but you're starting to hand carve the stock and inlay the brass or silver. Just build them, just build the thing. So that's pretty neat. That art that still lives, making powder horns and all that kind of thing, basically the same way. So it's interesting field area. One that I'm not into as much as all the others I'm into, a lot of the things at a show like that, I recommend you go to one sometime, just so you can appreciate what people are doing and making and building. But you can imagine what a lot of the vendors there are selling or doing. They're making things that are period correct, from the period, the 1700s, early 1800s or the 1700s or before. Clothing, bags, possible bags for your shooting equipment, horns, powder horns, all those sorts of things. So things that don't really translate into what most of us shooters are using on a daily basis, right? So if you're not into reenacting, maybe you don't need any of that stuff or even want any of it, unless you just always wanted a nice kind of authentic powder horn, or you do shoot a little black powder, but you always wanted a nice powder horn, or a shirt like they wore back then, or something, or clothing, so not as big a market unless you're kind of reenacting or playing a little deeper into that area, maybe. But interesting and well worth attending, I have to say. So we got hollow points in here. All right, some Underwood 147 grain jacketed hollow points. All right, let's see if it'll feed them. And see if they're powerful enough to go through an SDI badge. Oh, yeah. Wow, really powerful. You notice how that one moved the target more than the other rounds I fired. Quiz question, why? You know why. Same reason I sometimes knock the target stand over, or I hit the stand. Yeah, that one hit the 2x4. When I shoot the bullseye, they don't touch anything but paper, cardboard, right? I'm just brilliant. Just full of gems of brilliance. Yeah, cowboy. Yeah, plug him a little bit. How about a pig with a hollow point? Yeah. How about a 2-liter? Yeah, blowed him up. Well, let's see if we can figure out where to hit the gong or hold. All right. Okay, bring it up a little more. A little more. Oh, no, bring it down. I was holding just above it and I missed it. So, okay, I brought it all the way down, holding almost in the dirt. Let me try that again. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I figured it out sooner or later. Yeah. I ain't too smart, but give me enough time and I will figure things out. Yeah. So I had a great week, great trip. I told you I'd tell you about it, and met a lot of you all up there again at the CLA meeting and on the road, restaurants, and everything. It was funny. And it never bothers me. I'm just so happy that you all watch and that we get to do this. As I've said many times, I had met so many of you and talked to you for 2 solid hours, longer actually, 2.5 or 3 hours, I guess, total. And then I drove. I was worn out, and you're tired. I wasn't really worn out, but so I get in the car and I drive. I get back to, I don't know, a couple of hours down the road to Bowling Green. I said, I'll stop at Culver's, and just eat and chill out here before going home. And, it's nice to sit down and eat, and after, how it is, you've had a lot of intense time talking to people for 2-3 hours straight, there and just relax and eat. And I'll be darned if in the booth right facing me, it wasn't one of you. It was good to meet you, a viewer of the videos, So the meet and greet sort of continued, which often happens, but I don't mind a bit. I'm not complaining. It's just funny. And so anyway, but I did meet a lot of you out and around. And what else? I don't know. I got a couple of things. I got a rant. I got a rant. I just wouldn't feel right if I wasn't ranting and complaining. Some old man. I used to call it the old man rant. I guess any of my rants are the old man rant right now. And oh good, so I got a mag wood for the pistol. And but I'm gonna get some ammo out for this rifle. Carbine. The news articles. We all read a lot online now. Try and keep up with the news, maybe, or items, and in some ways you would think it's more, I don't know, pleasant than just sitting and watching the news, because it's, they're in your face and everything has to be dramatic, of course. And so if you see an article looks interesting, you read it on your phone, whatever. But I tell you, there is not much online in terms of articles that, unless you get maybe certain publications, but the articles you see online are so useless, aren't they? I don't know. There's just not many that I can read, unless it's about some specific topic and it's not clickbaity and all that kind of thing, maybe. And it's in a publication and it's accessible online or whatever. But you go down through any of your favorite news sites and look at the headlines, and how many times have you clicked on some headline and okay, I don't know, how it is. I don't fall for this stuff much. I've learned just to ignore it, but sometimes there might be something like the most famous soloist ever, famous singer ever, or celebrity NBA player found dead in his bathtub, or it's something enough. Well, of course, they don't give you who it is, whatever, in the headline, right? You don't even get any information in the headlines. You just get the clickbait or whatever. But so I said, okay, well, they said it's famous NBA players. I probably know who it is. I haven't even heard anything in the news yet about someone dying that played. And so you're thinking, okay, who might this be? Dwayne Wade or well, Bill Russell's dead, right? I missed that somehow too when he died. But anyway, so okay. Just out of curiosity, I got to click on this. I hate it because I know where this is probably going. And yep, you're right. Now that might be a little bit of an exception, except it'll be some player you've never heard of, which doesn't make his death less serious to him or his family, right? But still, but I don't know. You click on something that's interesting. This car maker discovered they can no longer remain in business or whatever it is because of, I don't know, something. And see, well, what's that about? Maybe I'll read that one. I don't have a life right now or something, or I'm sitting eating or something. And oh my gosh, you have to go down to 8 paragraphs into 14 ads separating those paragraphs before it even starts to get into what it's about. Yeah, isn't it horrible, the writing? I mean, it's horrible. And, I guess a lot of it is, so they beat around the bush. they don't tell you anything until you that's the reason, I guess, so that you got to work through the big block ads, and you got to skip the next paragraph or whatever. That must be part of the reason, in addition to just horrible writing and news reporting. But that's just, I got where there's very little. I mean, it would have to be something in that headline for me to click on it now. It almost has to be something like former president dies, you know, in the swimming pool or something. Okay, unless they're just out and out lying. They did say former president. So you start going through, okay, which presidents are still alive? Let's see which one just died today. It must have happened. So it's got to be something that obvious or dramatic, or that obvious to get me to click anymore. So it's a world of clickbait, right? Just like our videos. You think you're going to get, wow. See, that's the only problem with this gun. You think you're going to get the information, all you get is me. That's something I need to talk about in the video. It's got these nifty little compartments for the magazines in the stock. And they click in, all that's good, but if you touch this stock in the wrong way at all, they're going to just fall out. And then when you really want them, they're very tricky to get out, and you're not going to get them out in a hurry. That's one thing about the gun. I like it. I like it as a shooter, but it's not something that you're going to benefit from this folding capability, I don't think, in terms of this is just such a quick access firearm. Wow, yeah, small, handy. Open that thing up and go to work. You know, I don't see it that way. I see the folding capability of it mainly as just a storage advantage for you. Maybe you can keep it in something smaller, but not something. If my life depends on how fast I get this thing out into action, man, I've made some bad decisions the way I look at it. I'd rather keep a handgun handy. I can have it ready to go a lot quicker than this. I mean, nothing wrong with it folding, since it doesn't seem to affect the operation or that kind of thing. Now I've got the Primary Arms prism scope on. I told you I bought one of these, didn't I? Yeah. I don't think you've seen it yet. Yeah, I put it on my LWRC 6.8 and was going to leave it there, but I had to get it today or yesterday to put on this gun. I like it, and this is again you all, because I complain about the red dots and the red dot morphing before my eyes, my astigmatism or whatever. And several of you recommended that. You mentioned the prism scopes are better for people like me. And I've not used that mag yet, have I? It was long. And so I made a note of that, because I was not familiar with them. Had not heard of them. Now here's where see if I can get that, yeah, bolt lock to work. And so I've tried one. I ordered this one, and I do like it. It's got a weird reticle. I can't figure out what's wrong with it. There we go. Oh yeah. Okay. And I like it. So I wasn't going to put it on this though. I was going to put a regular red dot. Boy, what a fiasco that turned into though. So I got the prism scope. I moved it to this for now, and so let's shoot something with it. How's that? Okay. You know what I did? Y'all just love it. You get to see me being an idiot in real time. Okay. The reason I had a little trouble getting that magazine in there is the fact that I probably put the wrong mag in it. I put the Echelon mag. They look alike. I put the Echelon mag in there. There we go. Okay, that's why I wasn't clicking in. So let's get a mag that's designed for this gun. I'll bet it'll work a lot more smoothly. Oh yeah, it clicks right in. All right, keep that over there by the gun. I'll show you why here. Let me pull the other one out. I didn't. If I'd studied a little bit, I mean, they're both you know, they look like that. This has a different shield on, but anyway. All right, put that over there. Okay, there we go. Rack a round in and fire around. So my red dot is just, it's more visible, okay? The nifty little gun. It really is, especially when you get the right mag in it. Yeah, that prism scope is nice. It seems a little large maybe for this little gun. I guess or anything sticking up like that. The little aim point H2, right? I mean, it's a little shorter, but I guess it doesn't make a lot of difference. So we're empty. You know, I guess it doesn't make a lot of difference. Really, doesn't change the length of it or the height or anything really. So I'll tell you though, I was if you mess with this stuff, you eventually have days like this. The other day I was gonna, I got to put a sight on it. It doesn't come with a sight, so got to put a red dot on it. So where am I going to rip it off? So I thought, well, I hate to rip it off that new bolt gun, that range rifle I just bought, because I got that sighted in. But I got to. All my aim points or red dot sights are on something sighted in. So I said, well, I'll just take it off there. And we did a video with that gun. I'll get it sighted back in, or I may put a different scope on it, who knows, or something. But so I finally make the decision, okay, I'll take it off the bolt gun. And once you take it off, you've lost your zero, essentially, usually, right, and all that. So I go out, put it on in the shed, and get it on there. And I put it up. Oh gosh, that won't work. It doesn't have the elevator on it. You know, it's on a bolt gun, so it sits right down on it. But duh, that won't work. So I had it tightened down. So I take it off. I get back in the house. Okay, what's the least necessary one around here I've got to rip off somewhere? Because I got 3 of them at least, maybe not. And so I get looking in the safe. Okay, I got one on my Daniel Defense AR, V2, whatever it is. Take that one off. That's one of my go-to-war ARs, you know, but I'll do it anyway. I can re-sight it in, or I'll make one a prism scope on that one or something. So I take it off, I go outside in the shed, and I put it on, get in the right spot for me, you know, and it won't seem to turn on. And I can't get a red dot out of it. Okay, battery? I thought these batteries last almost forever. So I go around looking for batteries. Oh, I got a few of them in the shed. Okay, new ones. So I pull one of those out, cut it out, replace it carefully, make sure there's plenty of pressure, it's tight. Okay, no red dot. Well, must be they were out here through the winter, and you know the cold just got to them. That's all I can figure. Because aim points last forever, right? So I thought. So I go in the house, in one of my gun closet areas of safe. I look around. Oh yeah, good. There's some I've bought that been in the house the whole time. The 2032, whatever, the flat batteries, brand new, Maxell, you know, should be fine. Take one out, put it in, same thing, doesn't work. So, long story short, or long story long, that aim point apparently is kaputs. You know, it can't be that old, and it's never been abused at all, so it doesn't work. Can't be the battery. That's 3 batteries, and so anyway, I don't know, I hate that. I don't know what their warranty deal is or anything like that, but I think I'll put it in a box and send it to them. And so if you guys can figure this out and fix it, that would be great. If not, it's no use to me, I guess. It's junk, and they ain't cheap, that's for sure. So, but anyway, I put this scope on. That's why this one ends up on there. So I took this off my LWRC. I said, okay, you know me, I get the big hammer out before too long. You know, I'm better in my old age, but I used to get the big hammer out right away if I thought there was even a chance I'd need it. And I just get the big hammer out. Whoop, I know this one will work, and so there we go. I just got it off the LWRC, put it on this, and yeah, it's nice gun, nice gun. I have to say. I thought it was interesting. I was expecting a lot of, or a fair amount of, negativity with that video we posted recently about with the Taylor's and Company 1875 Outlaw. You know, the Remington reproduction, basically 6-shooter from the Old West, chambered in 9mm, and same round this shoots. Both of these guns shoot, and I was just ready for it, you know, because it is kind of weird, an Old West gun, 9mm. But I tell you, I mean, I made the argument in the video, as you saw, that, well, maybe there's a place for this, even though I don't think of 9mm when I think of the Wild West or John Wayne. I don't know if anybody does, but at the cost of ammo and everything, yeah, it makes some sense. 9mm being so popular, everybody has that, and so maybe it's not so weird after all. So I was looking at both sides of it, but wow, you all really saw that side of it. Yeah, really. Thought that made a lot of sense, and seemed to be attracted to it a lot more than I thought. So I guess I was right. There is an argument for that. Even though I'm a snob when it comes to the old Wild West guns and authenticity and all that kind of thing. So anyway, I'm kind of impressed, I guess, that so many people, kind of see that that may not be the dumbest thing ever, when you consider availability and cost of ammo. So that's cool. That's cool. So anyway, can I shoot this thing some more? I got a load of mag though. No, I don't have this magazine loaded. I tried to put in the rifle, the carbine. So is anything else I was dying to make sure y'all knew about? Yeah. Oh, someone just a little while ago saw tell me in a video that I looked unhealthy again because I have lost weight. Isn't it interesting that in a world where so many people are overweight, that if you finally get yourself down to where you're not overweight, which I sort of did, that helps. Then you must be sick. You must be ill. Of course, it's understandable in a way, because people that change a lot, one of the first things that happens, right, if you do get some dreaded disease, incurable disease, or something fairly serious, is you often lose weight. So it is a sign of that, and people might not be used to seeing you, at whatever, 100 pounds instead of 200 pounds. They're used to seeing you at 200 pounds or 400 pounds. So you do look maybe dramatically different, right? Okay. All right. Try this thing. I gotta figure out what I think about it. Alabama holster, let's shoot you. So yeah, I figured out where to hold. Of course, that was with Underwood. Let's see if I hold the same place, I can hit the gong. Yeah, yep, held the same spot, right at the bottom of it. So, print's a little high. Yeah, on that. Y'all probably sometimes wonder, how do you shoot and get by without having more paper to shoot at and that kind of thing? Because this is just sort of a fun thing right here. I don't put it out there so I can figure out where the gun prints. I use the steel for that. Like right then, there are 2 hits on that plate, one towards lower and one up there in the upper quadrant. Well, I was holding just then on the upper one, which is now the middle one. Okay. And so let me hold on I'm going to put one over on the right of that plate, okay? All right, it's down low, if you can see it down there at, 5 o'clock. Now, I'm going to hold right on that hit and see where it goes. go. See, it went above it, and that's not that far away, so it shot high. Now I'm gonna hold on that one I just put in there, on there, and it should just work it right up the plate. See, now hold on that one, and it's even higher. So, yeah, so you know, I don't have to go get a piece of paper and cardboard and tape it up somewhere and mark it. You've got plates like that that have been painted. You got a place where you can see your hits. That's the main thing. Then you get a rough idea. Now, if you're going to really narrow one down and get it zeroed in perfectly, maybe you want paper, especially with a rifle, right? But I can learn a lot just from shooting around, plinking around, like on the gong. You know, and then right there, I mean, it tells me, I haven't shot this thing all that much, but it prints a little high. Not anything that bothers me. If I were going to buy this gun, that's not enough to bother me at all. In fact, I would almost rather it print just like that than to print right on or low. That way I can get a 6 o'clock hold, and we're good. We're good. And it's just not enough to mag on. If I'm trying to hit the cowboy, you know, that's good. All right, so you know, learn together. This thing feels like quality. This is kind of a new direction for Springfield Armory. These are made in Croatia as well. I think they're made by that same company, the HS product or whatever that makes that was it HS 2000 way back, and some of their others. The what's the small? This is a little bit like the Hellcat, I guess, like a bigger Hellcat in some ways. But I know, yeah, it says right on it. Look at that, HS product, made in Croatia. Okay, so that bothers some people, but a lot of great guns are made overseas, right? Glock, Walther, whatever you name them. They come from other companies in other countries. So I don't know, this thing for a big old pistol, I mean, it's just a standard like a Glock 17 or something. I tend to lean towards a smaller gun. You know, I kind of, when I think of a large gun, carry gun, belt gun, all that sort of thing, I kind of start with a Glock 19 size pistol. That's kind of the biggest firearm I really want to carry around on my belt. There's just not a lot of reason to carry something bigger, you know, in my opinion, for me. Now, if you're a law enforcement, you're a soldier, duty, you just like a bigger gun, that's fine, of course, but you don't really gain that much weight. But I don't know that I can hit anything with this that I can't hit with a Glock 19 size pistol, whatever it is, or it's a SIG or whoever. That size pistol is plenty big, you know, really for me. Although these are fun to shoot when you get a little bit bigger, they are fun. So, you know, I don't know what, the market must still be pretty good for big old pistols like this. A lot of them coming out, and they're going to make this in a lot of different sizes, I think. In fact, it's got a chassis that's actually serialized, so you can change out the grip, make up, well, I don't know if they're available now, but compact or whatever. Of course, we're just now getting it. I know these things are all over the internet a month or two ago, as always happens, you know, when they're released, and they send them out to anybody that'll do videos with them and that kind of thing on the release dates and that kind of thing. We're always, whatever, months later getting them. We wait till they're in the gun shop somewhere, and then and give you our impressions on them eventually. So we don't want to be beholden to any gun company. And you know, we don't have any animosity towards gun company. I make a big deal out of that, I guess. We always have. How we're not. We may have some sponsors, and we have great sponsors and all that kind of thing, and we're very, very, very lucky. But we don't have gun companies, you know, sponsors, and never have. And I'm a big fan of all the gun companies. You know, I just don't want to be in their pockets. You know, like I say, some guns we have a hard time getting, and we might take a free one, not any kind of first look, help them promote their gun kind of thing, but just having a hard time getting it. So we may take one like we did recently. Well, that 1875 Outlaw, I think a Wilson Combat, whatever, you know, and we'll just donate it, you know. And so 2 of those guns they're already in the hands of the TFA, Tennessee Firearms Association, and I just decided this week, found a good worthy cause for, I think it's going to go out. I had a contact from someone in California. He was a sergeant in the police department there, I think. But I had communicated, he had contacted me when the fire swept through Paradise in California. What's that been, 2-3 years ago now, something like that. But they were doing some a fundraising thing for the emergency department, let's see, I guess I have to look at it again, but the emergency and police and everything, they have a fundraiser, they do a kind of thing every year, and one of us sent a signed target, you know, some things like that, and I said, I'll do one better than that. How about a revolver? You know, if you get me a shipping label to send it to an FFL out there, because I don't be shipping something to California that shouldn't be going there, right? Even a revolver, it might be too high capacity, 6 shots. So I told him I'd send him that because I was going to donate it, you know, anyway. So anyway, yeah, anyway, we just not in the first look, but we eventually get the firearms and play with them and see what we think. It's pretty neat. I'll shoot some more, we'll do a video with it. Watch out for that. It'll be good. I better give some advice to young people or old people before we get too long here. Oh, you know, I was thinking this week, let me load a magazine while I'm yakking about this here. I was thinking about the lottery. I think it was, several days back now. I lost track of time being up in Kentucky for several days, but I think that somebody won that big lottery, right? The Mega Millions. I don't really play the lottery, but it was interesting. Won some big money, apparently. A bunch of people did. But I thought for advice for young people, or at least something to think about for anybody, is what would you do if you won, 10 million bucks? You know, what would you do? And makes for interesting thought process, conversation, doesn't it? What would you do with that? Would you go crazy? Or are you already crazy? maybe you are. If you are someone who would really go crazy, maybe you're already crazy, and that just gave you more options to be crazier. I don't know, but it'd be an interesting. I don't know if I ever did that. I think I did something like that once, and it was always coming up with writing topics for composition topics for students. But it's an interesting exercise to think about. And to learn about yourself, how much common sense you have, maybe how savvy you are about things in the world. Because for one thing, a lot of people, you know what I just did? I loaded that mag, but that's the one for the carbine. They put him over there. Okay, I didn't try to use it. The one for this gun is in the firearm. Because if you have some knowledge of the world and common sense about you, you really didn't win 20 million. You actually won about 12 million, right? Do I have to explain why? Yeah, you've heard of this guy named Uncle Sam, haven't you? So that's what's really happened. So what would you do with the remaining 12 or 13 million? You just go crazy like some sports celebrities end up doing, stars. There's article after article, and websites and videos on that, aren't there? All the people that sign contracts for 20 million or 10 million or whatever, and now they're broke. It doesn't take long, and part of it is that big tax bite. You don't realize that's not really the reason, but you're thinking in terms of, wow, I got $20 million, or I've got $10 million bucks, and you don't have $10 million bucks. And it's so easy to spend money. Yeah, you go run buy a mansion in Florida and one in California, and 3 or 4 Lamborghinis or something, and before you know it, you're moving on down with that money. And but anyway, what someone does with that is an interesting study It really is. Because all you'd have to do, just like those guys with the, usually it's guys, with the big sports contracts, if all you did was, you say you signed for 20 million, you say you end up with 13 million after taxes, that first contract or something. If you only take half of that and put it away and, just invest it in, just index or, funds, mutual funds, and forget about it, like you don't even own that, like you don't have that 6 million, okay? And you're never gonna touch that for 50 years. That's for later, whatever else happens. You get injured or you get cut from all the things, you'd be fine. Man, that stuff growing in 8 or 10 years, it'd be double that just from the investment. Just get it out of your hands, But so many of them don't do that, and you know what happens, right? So, but anyway, what a person would do with that is donate some of it to a worthy cause, save it, and do smart things with it. I think it tells us a lot about ourselves, as we go through that thought process. Maybe do go through that thought process, what you would do with it. Would you just take the 12 million that's left and start doing the math? Where's my calculator? Okay, 12 million. What's the cost of the average firearm? 800, 600? How many firearms can I buy now? 12 million divided by 600? That would be my process, wouldn't it? How many houses do I need to own to house all those firearms? All right, the Echelon. Yeah, the upper echelon of firearms, maybe. The verdict is out, right? Yeah, did you see that? I'll pop that gong pretty quickly because I know where to hold now. I'm such a genius. Tearing up the range. Oh man. Oh well, that's what I do. I shoot, and I enjoy it, and it's just kind of fun trying out new different firearms and seeing how they work. Again, this thing is, it doesn't seem like just a gimmick. That's my impression so far. It seems like a real a solid carbine. It's a pretty good trigger, and you can pop it. It's fun to shoot. Everything about it seems solid, except that, again, that slide or bolt lock and releases is really funky. It's kind of like an AR, you work the bolt back here, and you see that, either side. Just blowback, but it does. It feels like quality and seems to be well made. So the fact that it folds, in a way, and it clicks open, like that, or clicks like that, but you just force it open. Yeah, so it doesn't seem like a gimmick, okay? Because you can just about imagine something, especially when these sorts of firearms started popping out, was it the sub 2000 or whatever, you begin to wonder, okay, is that just a gimmick, Yeah, it folds in half, but what's that required to build a firearm that folds in half? Means it's got to be kind of junky or something. Not to say that Kel-Tec is. It's a neat little firearm. I've got one. I haven't fired that thing in years. So it's up to you to decide how important the folding is in your life. Again, the value in that, and it comes with this little pouch, but the one advantage I always see in any firearm, especially a carbine or rifle, that you can take it apart or folds like that, is you can put it in a case that doesn't scream firearm. That's obviously one advantage. Not necessarily for stealthy reasons, because you're an assassin. I don't mean you might be, but just something you have that obviously firearms are a highly stealable firearm, just like jewelry, coins, anything like that, or a highly stealable item, a desirable item among thieves. And if you have someone can walk by your car and they happen to see a gun case in there, everybody knows kind of what a gun case looks like. They might look at that and say, huh, gun case, I'll bet there's a gun in that. And since I'm a thief, that's good information, right? Whereas that thing could fit in a briefcase. Of course, a briefcase isn't wise to have showing either, but you know, it'd be easier to hide the fact it's a firearm, I guess. That's the biggest advantage to me, you know, or maybe even in something it's easier to carry. You know, you got a bunch of stuff, I don't know. A backpack, you know, obviously you could put that in your, that's kind of, it's only 6 pounds, I think, 6.5 pounds or something, but that's still a chunk to have. And I still come back to, this thing is fun to shoot, and you can pop, you know, stuff with it pretty easily, you know, especially that's scope, quote unquote, that optic on there and everything. But by the same token, you know, that thing weighs 6.5 pounds or whatever it is. You know, it's a bit of a chunk. If I want kind of a survival thing like that, I'm more likely, this thing weighs 24 ounces. I can have this and a couple of magazines, or a Glock 19 size pistol and a couple of magazines. Whole lot less space and weight and everything else, that I can do just about what I need to do. Now, in a real survival, wilderness situation, maybe, you know, that'd be pretty handy for hunting and everything. But if you can shoot a handgun decently, you know, there's just a lot of things like that rifle or carbine, they don't give you that much advantage. You know, if you, I don't want to sound egotistical, if you can shoot reasonably well, handle a handgun pretty well, you've had a fair amount of experience with handguns, there's not as much distance, what I'm trying to say, between this and the effectiveness of it and that. There is some distance, but not as much. Now, if you are not an avid shooter, you've had very little experience with a handgun, and you still have trouble hitting the broadside of a barn with a handgun, you'd have trouble hitting those plates right there without a lot of careful, slow aim and that kind of thing. Having something you can put on your shoulder, it does make a huge difference. A huge difference. For that person, there is a wide gap. Yeah, it's a big improvement, and you know what I'm talking about if you have a little experience, very little experience with handguns. But once you get to a point where you can shoot them reasonably well and kind of hit what you need to out there, you don't gain as much, you know, except at maybe longer distances. Picking off a squirrel, survival situation out of a tree up there somewhere, you know, it'd be harder with this, I'll have to admit. So anyway, but that thing is a lot less convenient though than this pistol. If you could shoot a pistol pretty well, wow, what a better choice in so many ways. So anyway, I've yacked enough. I'm going to quit yakking. I just really am. I had a couple things I was going to talk about. I'll wait till next week. Yep. So I still feel like there's something I was forgetting. Anything important? Yep. I can say I'm glad all the snow melted. And we're at 190. We're cranking along, man. Be 200 before you know it, right? It's also going to be fall before you know it. Can't believe it. We're getting close to the end of August. It's hard to believe. It really is hard to believe. The years, they just fly by. So, again, it was great to see y'all up in Kentucky. Hope to see you over in Sevierville. I'll be sure. That's a nice gun shop over there too. Boy, Bud's Gun Shop. It's behind the knife, what's it called? Smoky Mountain Knife Works. It's back there, kind of catacorn. And you know, on the other block from the knife shop, and not too far off the interstate, right? That area there with the gun shops and knives, and probably what, a couple of miles off I-40, something like that. On that's 66, headed toward Pigeon Forge. You know, you all know if you live over that area. So I hope to see you there, and Uncle Lee's later in the month on the 23rd. So I'm going to let you go. I appreciate you coming out, and I'm glad you had some better weather today to hang out with me. It's just very, very comfy. Probably still some ticks, so check yourself for ticks, but because it is still summer, but boy, it feels like fall. Must have been that snowstorm. That must have really kind of chilled things down a little bit. Yeah, I love climate change. I just love it. The more it changes, the better. So I'm going to let you go. Glad you came out today, and I really deeply appreciate your support. Life is good.